Hello everyone, Alec DeLorean here, and I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Now in today's video we have the Slingshot for or against video, in which we go through Slingshot's pros, cons. I've also added in a mods slide since the introduction of mods, so I might have to redo old ones, but maybe not so soon. And then we go into our final thoughts to see if they are meta, not meta, or a little bit in between, and if you need to level them up to see if they become viable or if you can play them as level 1 and still be decent. But before we get into it, if you would like to join Patreon or Discord, the links are in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, this content, and all things Star Wars and Marvel related, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the video. Alright, so Slingshot, for or against? So we're going to start off with the pros, and the very first pro is probably his most important because it's kind of his thing, which is just that he's extremely agile. So he's very, very fast in different scenarios. Like he has this ability where you can wind up his dash and then speed off, or if you just run whilst out of combat, you're going to go into your roll and be extremely fast. So that's his breaking point. Like that's what he does, and he does it really well. He's really, really fast, and he's really, really fun to play for that reason. So that's the first pro. The second one is he has a very powerful ultimate. I don't think he charges it up very fast. Like, I don't see myself using it a lot each match, but I think that's just because it's a powerful ultimate, so they want to make it slower than normal. But yes, if you pop off your ultimate, you're gonna definitely get 1, maybe even 2 kills and then disrupt other people, push people off zones, like if it's dynamic control or power control. You're gonna scare everyone away from the zone, so you're gonna start capturing it or getting points for your team, which is what you want. And if they do stay in, it's like, well, they've just signed a death wish. Next is he has a very strong shield. Like, I really like his shield. The difference between his shield and Chaos and Sentinels is that his shield surrounds all of him. So even if enemies are coming up behind you, your shield is going to take the damage, whereas Sentinel and Chaos, if enemies come up behind them, they're still going to take damage because their shields are only in front. So for Slingshot, that's a really, he's definitely got the best shield in the game because he can also shoot for it, whereas enemies can't shoot through back at you. And it has a decent amount of health as well. And even bonus on top of that, when the shield disappears, you deal damage to anyone who's close by because it explodes rather than just disappearing. And then at a certain level, you also have a knockback, which is really good if you're playing on Vader's castle and you're on the first zone. Next is he has decent burst damage. So I say this because his main weapons aren't that strong, but his rockets are extremely strong, especially when you get that to level 6 and you get the extra damage to each rocket. But yeah, the rocket outburst is really powerful, as it melts through people's health, and a lot of the times it makes healers panic, especially Scorer. You just make them run away because you've just taken out all of their health in like one short duration. Then lastly is that he is a power control specialist. I have been saying this since season 1. I've said it in season 2, 3, and 4. Also in season 5. Even though he's had nerfs from 4 and 5, he's still very good, and he can be used at a high level, and he's still the king of power control. Because on power control you want mobility characters, right? So a lot of the time people are going to be picking Aaron Tall or Reeve because they're fast, but if you want the fast tank, you go with Slingshot. I always like seeing a Slingshot because they can just go from zone to zone. They have really good survivability as well, so if they go pick up the enemy zone and they're still spawning over there, they're going to take a lot of resources just to take you out, which is really good. And that's all the pros. Alright, so next page we have the cons, so things we don't like about Slingshot. First of all, he has very weak damage output. Like, aside from the rockets, once you use them up, you've dealt half someone's health, or maybe 3/4 of someone's health if they're squishy. But then the actual weapons that he uses aren't that strong, so it kind of leaves him a bit vulnerable there, just because the fight's going to go on for a long time because you've got a lot of health and you've got your shield's health, but you're also not going to do much damage out to them, so they're going to survive for longer, enabling them to deal a lot of damage to you. So especially if you miss your rockets, like I do that a decent amount of time on Scorers when they're already dashing, at that point it's like, well, you're not really going to get many kills, if any, with just your weapons alone. So that's his big downfall for him. He falls off on most other game modes, so like I said, he's power control specialist, but I wouldn't really ever pick him on any other mode ever. Like, I wouldn't ever use him on squad brawl because you need kills, and what's his weak point? Getting kills. I wouldn't use him on I kind of would use him on dynamic control because his ultimate's really good and his shield and just pure survivability is really good, but there's just better tanks out there for dynamic control, and it's the same with any other mode, really. He's just a power control specialist, and that's the only time I'd ever use him. Unless you want to say Hutball, does Hutball really count because it's not in the ranked modes? But he's one of the best on, if not the best on Hutball as well. Next, another con is not a gameplay one, where it's just he lacks decent skins in the game. I'm still rocking a free one that we got. I think it was an IGN code one that we all got for free, but other than that, there's no skins that I kind of extremely really want. Like Char has one really nice one that I just had to pick up as soon as that came out. Reeve and Sentinel obviously have like hundreds of amazing skins, but Slingshot, I don't know. There's one that I can think of that I like, but it's not out of this world like some of the other skins, and if that's his best skin, then what all the other skins are like, ugh. So yeah, he lacks decent skins, so I hope that he gets some decent ones in future seasons. And then also, he gets outshined by other tanks, so Char, you want Char in like every single map, every single mode, so there's your first tank already. And if there wasn't a 3-tank meta, then Char would you just see Char in every single match, and then that's it. But there's still, I feel like every other tank, unless it's power control, then you want to see a Slingshot. But every other mode, all the other tanks just do it better than Slingshot. He's a one trick, and his one trick is power control. So every other tank in the game is just like, well, that's it. Slingshot is over. Okay, next is a mods page, the new page that I've introduced to the for or against, and I just show off the legendaries. The question is, do they have good legendaries? It's either yes or no. So we'll go through it very quickly. So the first one, he has a max capacity effects plus 10 ammo capacity, range effects plus 5 damage fall off distance, control effects minus 25% hip fire weapon recoil, but he loses out on 25% reload duration. I really like this one. The extra ammo capacity is really useful because you just want to be constantly shooting. Like, his reload is already slow anyway, but if you increase your capacity, there's less chance that you're going to be reloading, because hopefully by then you'll be able to kill people. And then the extra 2 bonuses, the damage fall off distance will be really helpful, and the hip fire will be really useful as well. So I really like the idea of this mod. I don't know if it's like cracked or not, but I think if you were to use it, it'd be useful. The next one is minus 0.05 seconds fire rate, which is really good, and he has plus 6 weapon damage, which is really good. You do lose out on 2 areas, and one is hip fire weapon spread, which isn't the worst thing in the world because his weapon's kind of easy to use anyway, so that doesn't really make much of a difference. And then you lose out on the minus 6 ammo capacity, but if you were to already use this legendary, you're still going to be up by 4 ammo capacity, so at that point this just disappears, so you're going to be plus 4 anyway if you have both of these on. So you only take out the hip fire weapon spread, and you already get these 2, which I think this might be his best mod. It's up to you if you want to lose out on the 6 ammo capacity, whereas if you're using this legendary with it, then it's like, well, why not? But if you were to use just one legendary, I think this one is the best one to use. And then the last one is he has a minus 15% reload duration, plus 40 health, minus 5 combat speed. Now the minus 5 combat speed isn't so bad, because a lot of the times you're going to be kind of stationary with Slingshot whilst you're in combat. His main thing would be the movement speed, so then you can get to point really fast when you're out of combat. So the reload duration would be really nice, the 40 health would be really nice, but overall I think that one is nice, but I don't know, this one just shines to me. But if I wasn't using this one, I wouldn't use this one, so it's like at this point I would probably then just put this one on. But I do like the idea of all 3 of his legendaries, but yeah, you just gotta test them out at this point. But overall, do they have good legendaries? I would say yes. All 3 of them aren't drop-offs, don't have drop-offs where it's like you would never want to use this legendary. And then the final thoughts. So the last page, I think he could be a meta hunter. I say this just because you want him on power control every single time, so that's the reason why it could be meta. But other than that, if power control wasn't a thing, I would say he's not meta. But because he's so good on one mode, I had to make him blue. And then the next thing is, do you need to level Slingshot high for them to be viable? So I've had a look at all 3 abilities to see what upgrades over time, and if you need Slingshot to be level 25 for him to be viable in matches. And overall, it's no. The abilities don't really change too much, and he only gets a little bit amount of damage, but it's not really noticeable. And then the other one is like recharge time for the dash and whatever, but it's not big enough for it to be like, okay, I need to get him to 25 ASAP. If you were to leave him at level 1 for ages, you can still go up against a level 25 Slingshot. Okay, and there you go. There is the Slingshot for or against. For me, I would say I'm for him. I'm for him for power control. I'm not for him for any other mode, really. You can still use him very, very well on all of the modes, but it's just he's easier on power control at the end of the day. But I won't keep you any longer though, so if you would like to join the Patreon or Discord, the links are in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, this content, and all things Star Wars and Marvel related, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.